exactly right.
What are some of the other platform pieces that you may be running on? Or again, when you're going door to door, what are you telling people? Of course, we heard your philosophy on government spending and property taxes and business. What are some of the other things that you're touching on?
Well, one of the things that I hear from folks is that it's related to the taxes, but a number of folks I hear from are they're concerned about, they want to be able to see the connection with their city government. And what I mean by that if they call in with an issue, that they can see that issue being followed all the way from when they called in to getting it resolved. And one of the things, and this is, the board's job is to look at macro, but level issues as well. But, one thing that I would like to see us be able to do is, I call it report it, track it, and resolve it. And that means that if you call into the city or you type in on the website of the city an issue, let's take a broken street light, for instance, there's an opportunity where that gets assigned a tracking number. You're able to follow that through the process. You can see the notes assigned to it. So if it takes 2 weeks to replace the street light, maybe it's because the bulb needs to be on order. But you know what's happening, and you can see it to getting resolved. As I understand it, those databases already exist in the city.
Worst case scenario, you use Twitter.
Well, that's right. Yes, exactly. Right. But who knows where the technology will go?
I'm just saying that there's
exactly.
opportunities out there.
So that's something where it's a small thing, but it would make, I think, folks have more confidence in seeing the issue getting resolved, and it helps the departments because they're not having someone say, well, what are you doing, when they are working on the issue. So.
All right, we're going to take a quick break talking to Josh Bokee, Democratic candidate for Alderman. I am pronouncing the name correctly, right?
Bokee, yep.
Bokee.
Bokee. Mm-hmm.
Democratic candidate for Alderman on the interviewing Josh Bokee, Aldermanic candidate for the city of Frederick in the Democratic primary, which is September 15th. And Josh, I want to hit on some of the other things. I know you have some thoughts and opinions on neighborhood reinvestment.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we've been focusing on with this comprehensive plan right now, the Planning Commission is trying to, I think, lay the groundwork for neighborhood reinvestment and revitalization of our commercial centers. And one of the things that we're hoping to try to do is out of that is that we can create these what we call these small area plans, which really essentially, without getting too technical, recognizes that different areas of the city have different needs, and how do we be able to treat those areas so that residents can help with property owners and business owners lead efforts to do that. And so certainly while we want to continue to reinvest in our downtown, I think that we need to take a closer look at the North Market Street area. Catherine Hepburn's column earlier in the week, I thought, raised that issue and the concerns about that. And I know our economic development team is working hard on that right now. Continue to work with the East Street group, but then also really get a plan focus for the Golden Mile area and for residents up this way too.
And when they look at some, Route 40, for instance, right. To me, there's some opportunity here, but you really got to examine who your client base is and go after businesses that are going to want to cater to that audience. I mean, that's really, it's kind of business principles 101.
Absolutely.
There's a demand. And
that's right.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand. That's exactly
so
right.
I know the demographics have changed up here, whether people like it or not, and I think that there's some opportunity there, and we can't turn back the clock and make Route 40 what it was 50 years ago, no matter how hard we try.
Well, and I don't necessarily think we should try to turn back the clock. I think there's opportunities to really try to say, well, what's the future going to be?
Yeah.
No one, I obviously was not here during the time of when downtown was, as described to me, abandoned and I guess not necessarily the place you want to be. And now look at the downtown we have today. It's the envy of municipalities across the state. That type of vision, that type of commitment, I think, is what we need to be able to apply here. But let the residents and the business owners help lead that effort. So create a Golden Mile Alliance task force. Look towards trying to facilitate what we want to do. Some of the things that I've been trying to do is talk within the business community, say, well, what are the incentives that would help us be able to get the type of retail and the type of either mixed use or whatever the vision might be to be able to say, this is what we'd like to do. Those are the conversations I think we want to try to have at workshops at the mayor and board and aldermen. It's about that reinvestment into the community. Understanding that times are tight and resources are constrained, sure. So we've got to be mindful of that.
Sure. what you have a website that they can go to?
Sure do. It's www.joshbokee.com.
All right. And what about crime on the West End? Has that been something that you have heard much about, that people are concerned about? We hear a lot on this show is concerns of, issues, sometimes not always crimes, but issues that happen on the West End.
Quality of life issues.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's not just limited to the West End. We can go down.
Sure, Whittier.
That's sure. We had some concerns before there, and it's along Opossum Town Pike as well. One, I think our police are doing a fantastic job. I think what we want to try to be able to do is try to ensure that all the agencies are sitting down together and are focusing on what the issues are. And you've got to continue to put a spotlight. Whether it's monthly, quarterly, to say, okay, where are we? What are the statistics bearing out? What are the complaints that we're getting? This comes back to the other issue where I had two different people, it's interesting, from two different neighborhoods in the city say, well, one of my concerns is we feel forgotten. We're not big enough as a city and as a community, I think, where people should feel that they are forgotten. And so we need to have champions that are out there that are working on people's behalf. And that's what I'm hoping to be able to take to the Board of Aldermen, to take my experience, to understand how to make the system be able to work for us and get out there and represent folks in every neighborhood.
I know it's not an issue in this campaign, but even when I served, I said, there might become a time in this city that we elect aldermen by wards, so that certain areas don't feel like they are forgotten, that they have a representative from that area. And I know that was part of why the NACs, the Neighborhood Advisory Committees, were formed, so that the people in that area had a forum to be able to get together and have discussions with the city.
And that may come a time for that, as long as you ensure that someone's always looking after the entire city. But we need to be able to be innovative of how we approach these issues. Public-private partnerships like the Frederick Alliance for Youth, what folks are doing, the Boys and Girls Club. I mean, these are great examples of how we can work together. Government's not the answer; it's not the only answer. It's got to take a partnership for the entire community.
All right, Josh Bokee, he's a Democratic candidate for alderman. And his website is joshbokee.com, and that's Bokee, correct?
You got it. That's right, Blaine.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on today and
thank you.
Talking with us, and wish you best of luck. And we will be interviewing. I've got confirmation now from all the candidates, even Clint Hoffman, who